This is the Morning Drive Podcast from Double T 97.3, getting you ready for today's sports day.
3 of the first 4 games have been at home, so at some point in time you're going to have to venture outside the 806, so that'll start this week.
While having a little fun along the way.
Always good if you can blame it on somebody else, right?
Yeah, sure.
Especially some media guy.
Sure. Right, some media guy.
Catch the show live weekday mornings from 6 to 9 on Lubbock Sports Station, Double T 97.3.
Now, this does not probably speak well for me, but when I listened to Jerry Jones and one of Jeff's Sports Center this morning talking about T.Y. Hilton, whom they just signed, and he says he's one of the smartest wide receivers that I can remember. He's ready to go. I'm wondering, what are the other wide receivers for the Cowboys thinking? Are they thinking, does he think I'm dumb, or is that just am I overthinking this?
Yeah, I think you're probably overthinking it.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's just a compliment to him and feeling like he'll be able to pick up their offense quickly and be able to be a factor.
You're probably right.
Quickly. I don't think it's meant as a shot at his other dumb receivers.
Okay, well, I mean, I trust your judgment because you're usually pretty good about being able to kind of read between the lines on something like that. So
yeah, sometimes it kind of does work that way where you don't mean to necessarily, but you over-compliment. You might overcome. Like I might say to you, Jeff, or Chuck, you're my favorite employee to ever work with. You're my favorite ever co-host or whatever, and it's meant just as a compliment to you. And meanwhile, Clint's like, well, wait a minute, I'm doing a show with you right now.
Right.
So I just meant it as a compliment to you, but others can take it the wrong way.
It's like you have two
because
lives.
if you really say it, if you really mean what you said, you are saying, Clint, you're not my favorite.
right.
So that's why you have to be careful.
Right. No, it's with people like you that live double lives.
Yeah, I think people who over compliment, I shy away from them.
Yeah.
Because I feel like they're not genuine.
Yeah. Do you have another family like in
Nope.
Ruidoso
Nope.
or Dallas? Because you could be the kind of guy that would have a secret life that would take place that we know nothing about.
You guys are my only family. The other one's all made up.
Oh, okay.
The whole wife and kids thing that really doesn't exist. There's
trying to make yourself a little bit more becoming.
Yeah, I just want people to think I'm a real guy. But really, it's just, you guys, you're my brothers.
We're your brothers. Okay.
You and Jeff.
I don't think it does. Somebody wants to know if the T.Y. Hilton signing closes the book on Odell Beckham Jr. to the Cowboys. Maybe for this year, and maybe the book on Odell is more closed because he's not healthy. Now, what does that mean with regard to him for next year? You worry about next year, I guess, at this point in time.
Yeah, I think it closes the book on this year, but it doesn't mean it's not a possibility that he could sign in the offseason when he's healthier.
Yeah.
Because, Jerry said it didn't appear that he could help them this year. It would be more of a signing for next year.
Yeah.
So why make that move then in that situation?
The breaking news from early this morning, and I'm not sure what time this came across the old wire, I guess 8 hours ago, so it was late last night. Carlos Correa and the San Francisco Giants, 13 years, $350 million. What do you think about that?
I'm so thrilled.
I knew you would be. I was happy for you when I heard that because you were worried about him going to the Yankees.
I thought that was pretty much squashed if Judge re-signed in New York, but if Judge hadn't re-signed in New York, I think there's a great chance that Correa could have been the next Yankee shortstop, which is dumb because like 2 of their top 5 prospects in the system are shortstops, and I believe one of them's maybe a year away. So I think it's a good fit for him. I think it's too much for him.
Yeah.
But
he's 28 too.
Yeah, have at it.
So 13 years, $350 million. It's a record long deal that is the richest ever for the position. And according to this ESPN article by Jeff Passan, gives them a franchise type player that they can build around. So yeah, I $350 million for 13 years. It just seems like an eternity. You know what I'm saying? It's for 13 years.
Mm-hmm.
It seems seems like an absolute eternity. 6:36 this morning on the morning drive. Spitball a little bit. Question here: college basketball. Does Chris Beard get fired by the end of the week? Today's Wednesday. I have to think that his representatives and lawyers for the University of Texas are working on some kind of a separation agreement. Have to think that, right?
I would assume so. Yeah.
I mean, I think I would be shocked at this point.
But I don't think they're just going to fire him with cause at this point.
No, I think to pay him to go away.
Yeah, because of all the, all the details not known, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So I think they'll I think they'll work out a settlement and say, okay, we know if all the details were out there, you probably would get fired with cause and get nothing.
Yeah.
And so here, take this and go away. For Chris Beard, you got to worry at that point. Okay, when's my next paycheck coming? Right? Because he's not going to get another college basketball gig here anytime soon.
No.
Right? So don't think he'll be, coaching at the local clinic, or anything like that. So that might be something that he feels like he needs to do, take that money.
I do think he'll coach again. I think he'll have to, I don't know how far he'll have to go down to coach again, whether it's JUCO or Division I, Sam Houston State or something like that. Mm-hmm. But I do think he'll coach again. Somebody with his relationships will give him an opportunity, but I think he's going to have to probably get some help, or say that he's going to get some help, or have some time. My guess is, and I don't know what the number would be, is maybe if Texas says to him, okay, we're going to pay you for the rest of this year, but the remaining 5 years that we owe you, $25 million, that's off the table, and allow him to resign, quote resign, step away, and then move on. But I don't see him coaching another game for the University of Texas. I think at this point in time they'd be crazy to put him back on the floor in any capacity.
Yeah, I don't think he coaches another game for Texas.
Yeah.
Getting your sports day started the right way. This is the Morning Drive Podcast from Double T 97.3, breaking down the biggest games.
If Texas Tech does not win the Big 12 football conference, who are you rooting for to win the conference if Tech does not win it this year?
Well, busting some chops along the way.
I hold back on sending you stuff. I mean, I'm very, very, very judicious.
We spend 3 hours a day, 5 days a week together. Why would we need to communicate during the weekends?
Right,
Save it for the show.
We do. We save it for the show.
Tune into the Morning Drive live weekdays from 6 to 9 on Lubbock Sports Station, Double T 97.3.
Today is the 14th day of December, 2022. 10 shopping days left.
10,
unless you go to one of the convenience stores on Christmas morning to do your shopping. Here with this day in sports history is the one, the only, Jeff McGuire.
1930 is where we're going to start off today.
Mm-hmm.
The National Football League Championship took place, kind of, because the Green Bay Packers repeat with the best record and the first past-the-post title. So it was who had the best record at the end of the regular season was the champion.
Okay.
1938, Major League Baseball agrees on the use of a standard ball. They disagree, however, on increasing the rosters from 23 to 25 players, although Commissioner Kennesaw Mountain Landis eventually decides on 25.
They agreed on a standard ball. Was that the first thing that you said as part of that?
Yeah.
What was the difference?
Probably size, if I had to guess.
Or stitch count or something. Cowhide versus, moose hide or something like that.
1947, National Association of Stock Car Racing, also known as NASCAR, is founded in Daytona Beach, Florida. So happy birthday, NASCAR. 1950, baseball owners choose Lou Pernelli, Phil Wrigley, Dave Delwebb, and Elias Ryan to select a new commissioner. 1958, Pat Summerall kicks a game-winning field goal for the New York Giants against the Cleveland Browns at Yankee Stadium.
Pat Summerall? Really? He was a kicker?
Yeah,
Yep.
he was a kicker. Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah, and the story on Summerall and broadcasting is fascinating because he was like rooming with another guy, and the phone call was supposed to go for the other guy, and Summerall takes the call, and he ends up going to do the audition. It's pretty close to that.
1988, CBS's bid of $1.1 billion wins exclusive 1990 to 1994 Major League Baseball rights. And in 2019, 85th Heisman Trophy Award is going to Joe Burrow. It is National Biscuits and Gravy Day.
Okay. I like biscuits. I like gravy. I don't like biscuits and gravy.
I've never had biscuits and gravy. It doesn't look appealing to me.
Yeah, I'm with you on that.
It's solid. Happy birthday, DK Metcalf. Tori Kelly is DK Metcalf is 25, I should say. Pop singer Tori Kelly is 30, and Craig Biggio is 57. And on this day in 1799, George Washington, the American revolutionary leader and first president of the United States, dies at his estate in Mount Vernon, Virginia. He was 67 years old.
A young man.
And that is this day in sports history.
Wow, that's a quick one. 6:50 this morning here on the Morning Drive. Nice to have you with us with Jamie Lent and Jeff McGuire. I'm Chuck Hines. Take your thoughts and comments this morning on the Yates Flooring Center chat line. Go to WT973.com for that, or the mobile app. Benchmark hotline is open as well at 806-771-0973. This question, it's a random baseball question. We were just talking about Carlos Correa, though. This person says, Jamie, so I've heard some of the national pundits discussing the Jacob deGrom signing, and they described the Rangers as the most irrelevant team in baseball. Is that hyperbole? Hyperbole. Yeah, you're right. Hyperbole. You know, sometimes when you read it and look at it, you go, what is it?
It's definitely a word that looks funky.
Hyperbole. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, is that hyperbole or is that accurate?
Well, since I read the text the first time, I've been trying to kind of think it over and, ask myself which team is less relevant than the Rangers.
Okay.
I don't have a lot jumping to my mind. There's some bad teams in baseball last year. Like the first one, hopped into my mind is Baltimore, but then Baltimore made a big jump this year. I don't know. I think there's probably a bunch of teams in the mix there that haven't made the playoffs for 5 years or something, and the Rangers would be in that mix. So, it hurts to say it a little bit, but I guess it's fair. But I don't think it's going to stay that way. With the additions that you have had offensively and now what you've done in the pitching staff, I think you're going to be a bigger factor. You've also played in the division where the Astros have just absolutely dominated. They've been really, really good for the past 6 or 7 years or whatever. So that's helped to keep you irrelevant. But yeah, we're all allowed to get better, Chuck.
No, right.
So are the Rangers, and
Right.
I think they've done that this offseason.
Right.
With a couple of pitching signings, and so I'm excited to get the Rangers out of that group of teams that are irrelevant.
Yeah. I wouldn't describe them as the most irrelevant team in baseball.
Okay, that's probably fair.
But
So who is?
Arizona Diamondbacks or somebody like that.
So why?
Why am I hating on them?
Just what makes them more relevant?
I don't know. I just feel like I think most irrelevant. Let me pull up something here. Let me pull up standings so I can have all the teams in mind.
And by the way, that was my senior superlative, by the way, in the yearbook.
Was what?
I was most irrelevant.
Were you really?
I'm just kidding.
Okay. Well, I mean, again.
Why would somebody put that in the yearbook?
How about the Colorado Rockies? They went 68 and 94. I'm a gullible guy.
like
you tell
us
me stuff, I believe it.
I mean, our New Yorkers are. I mean, you've heard the stories about how just angry, miserable people New Yorkers are. If they put that in the yearbook,
yeah,
we had biggest dork, ugliest, least likely to succeed.
Do you think you're
most unathletic?
Do you think of how many were in your senior class? 9?
36.
36. Do you think you're of the 36? Do you think you're in the top 5 in terms of being the most successful?
I have no clue. I do not know what one of the other 35. I know one of them's dead.
Okay.
But I don't know one of the 34. Yeah, I'm better than him. I don't know one of the 34 what they do.
What they do. And you've not been back
one
for a
single
reunion
one
or anything.
Nope.
Somebody says you live in Texas and you don't like biscuits and gravy. Yes, convict me. And Jamie. Again,
no, just convict him.
Yeah.
Your morning dose of coffee and sports. This is the Morning Drive Podcast from Double T 97.3. Catch the show live weekdays from 6 to 9 on Double T 97.3 FM or on the Double T 97.3 mobile app.
With Jamie Lent and Jeff McGuire, I'm Chuck Hines, and look forward to hearing from you today on the Yates Flooring Center chat line. Go to doublet973.com for that, or the mobile app. Benchmark hotline is open too at 806-771-0973. We come to you this morning from the First United Bank studios here in downtown Lubbock.
So can we go back to the last question about,
Sure.
Are the Rangers the most meaningless franchise in baseball?
Right.
I mean, I don't think it's just about wins and losses. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's interest and your fan base and all of that kind of stuff.
Passion, maybe.
Yeah, in a fan base or whatever. I mean, because you could look at I don't know. I mean, the Red Sox finished last in the East this year, but you'd never say that they're irrelevant. I mean, they're one of, and I would say the same thing about like the Cincinnati Reds. They won 62 games this year, lost 100. But I don't know. I mean, I still think Cincinnati has a great fan base and all that. Mm-hmm. I mean, the Rangers won more games than, say, your Royals, who were 65 and 97. But the Royals won a World Series within the last 7 years or whatever it was. So
2015.
It'd be hard. I mean, the Nationals were horrible this year, won 55 games. Mm-hmm. But, I mean, they just won a World Series a couple years ago. Mm-hmm. So I don't know. That's such a subjective thing.
Yeah.
And by the way, the Rangers and Rockies won the same amount of games last year.
Okay.
So I don't know how you could put one behind or one in front of the other. Mm-hmm. The Diamondbacks, who Chuck wanted to poo-poo, won 6 more games than the Rangers.
I just kind of feel like they're lost in the valley of the sun.
You don't hear a lot about them. That's fair. That's fair. But I mean, you also don't hear a lot about the Pittsburgh Pirates.
No.
Who lost 100 games this year.
Sure, right.
Yeah. So again, I mean, I think there's a group of teams that have been irrelevant, and as a Ranger fan or somebody who roots for the Rangers, I'm sure you hate to hear that. I mean, I do, but at the same time, it's understandable. You're not the most irrelevant. You're just one of them. Because I mean, if you're not in the playoffs, they don't really matter that much, right?
Well, they've spent some money this offseason to show that they are at least they've got a pulse.
Yeah.
They've got a pulse.
And bitter Yankee fan here would tell you since they haven't won a World Series in 13 years, they're irrelevant.
Yeah, but they find a way to make the news though.
They do, unfortunately.
They got that Aaron Judge guy that he's pretty good.
But right now, way more hype than they are success.
Racer 26 says, what about the Marlins? Yeah, well, you got them too. But even the Marlins, I mean, at least they buy themselves a World Series every once in a while.
They have done that.
And they've figured it out. Mm-hmm. Anyway, speaking of Aaron Judge, I got an email the other day it's just a sports
from Aaron Judge.
No, I did not get an email.
That would have been cool if you did.
Sure. I would have told you about it. You would not have had to ask me about it. Okay. I would have told you about it. No, it was on the baseball that went into the stands there in Arlington, number 62, and basically it's being put up for auction, and I think the bid when I saw it the other day, it was like it was over $1 million, like 1.2. So I don't know where it is today on that.
Wasn't the guy immediately offered $2 million?
Yeah, right. And that's what I was thinking. Like that guy may have underestimated. But I
heard later he was offered $3 million.
Yeah, so I don't know where it is. I don't know where it is today. I just when I clicked on it, I was like, oh, okay, well that's kind of interesting. That's the that's the Aaron Judge ball. That's the guy. That's the dude. So anyway, I'd have to check this to see where it is. It was not quite to my level yet for me to bid on it. Mm-hmm. Right.
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 Not quite.
Right. Not quite.
Mm-hmm.
Not quite. Texas Tech basketball. The Red Raiders were in action last night. They beat Eastern Washington 77-70. They had at halftime a teddy bear toss last night, and they're going to do it again today. I love that. In fact, you know what I think I'm going to do? I think I'm going to go to the store today and buy a teddy bear for me and Fink to toss, and it's going to kids for Christmas. And I'm not sure who it is going to specifically. I think it's the children's home, but I might be wrong about that. But anyway, I thought that was pretty cool, and I think that'd be good for them to see old Fink throwing on the court tonight.
Okay.
I think the play-by-play guy should have a teddy bear to contribute to the cause. So I'll be a good partner and get one for him. I don't think he's got time to slip away today to get that. I'll go make our selections today. But I thought it was pretty cool watching him throw it on there. You know, it's kind of like being at a hockey game when the guy has the hat trick. Mm-hmm. You know, and they throw all the hats and stuff, or the hockey arena where they throw the.
So how's it work? They have a kettle in the middle or something? You're supposed to aim for it?
No. They just threw them out there, and then they had some kids that scooped them up and put them in a trash bag for them. Mm-hmm. And what was really entertaining last night was the halftime. I mean, these boys were probably 8 years old, but they were fantastic. They clearly were well coached because they knew what to do with the basketball, and they had this one kid shot a three right away, and of course he became the crowd darling. The team that was wearing the dark colored jerseys beat the white colored jerseys. I think the white colored jersey kids only had one basket, so I was kind of feeling sorry for them, and they made one. But the other kids were like really, really good, mm-hmm. and they were throwing it up, and the thing that I really enjoyed about last night's game, the game between the games, was the two coaches that were out there didn't get silly with the whistle. In other words, I mean, there were some times where kids were walking a little bit, or when there was a jump ball, there was a flat, but they just let them play. They just let them play, and it was highly entertaining. Mm-hmm. So I would love to see those kids again. I think that'd be fun mm-hmm. to see that halftime.
Yeah, I always love the halftimes where the kids get out there and get to play.
Yeah. Last night, Red Raiders led by Kevin O'Banner. He had 25 points, 19 for Davion Harmon, and 15 for Pop Isaacs. He had 3 in double figures, and then nobody else really even close. Your next highest scorer was KJ Allen. He had 5 in 18 and a half minutes of work. Jalen Tyson had 4 in 33 minutes of work. He was 2 of 8 and 0 of 3. So you kind of wondered, did his ankle injury, did that affect him a little bit last night? My guess is yes.
I would guess it did, and maybe just not being able to be out there shooting and getting the reps that he had been giving or had been getting before that had him a little bit rusty and off.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. 7:09 this morning on the Morning Drive. Get some comments from Coach Mark Adams next here this morning on Lubbock Sports Station Double T 97.3. Red Raiders win their game against Eastern Washington 77-70. They're 27th in a row at home. Their next action comes up Saturday in Houston against Jackson State. Coverage at 2, the tip at 3 here on Double T 97.3.
Your morning blend of sports.
K-State is coming off a big win over Oklahoma. Of course, the Red Raiders off their 37-34 overtime win over number 22 Texas.
And humor.
Sure to tell them that. You suggested that. And, of course, that got a big laugh.
This is the Morning Drive Podcast from Double T 97.3. Catch the show live weekdays from 6 to 9 on Double T 97.3 FM or on the Double T 97.3 mobile app. Jamie's question of the day on Double T 97.3 is presented by Bizarre Solutions. Call them today for a free cybersecurity audit.
All right, so my question for you guys today, with the passing of Coach Leach late Monday night, obviously there's been an outpouring of support, which I think has been really cool to see on social media. My question for you guys today is, tell me your favorite, and you don't have to quote word for word, but what's your favorite Mike Leach comment / quote, and what was your favorite Mike Leach game for the Red Raiders? I think everybody's going to say the Texas game, so pick your second favorite game in the Mike Leach era.
For me, the Nebraska game stands out. The 70-10 game. We just put a whooping on Nebraska, and that's where I acted like a even more immature person than I already am. When I stood up on the bleachers on the east side, and I screamed at Tom Osborne, knowing that he couldn't hear me, like I did as a senior at KU when Dr. Tom ran the score up on KU, and I screamed that day in 1982, "Every dog has his day, Dr. Tom, and I'll have mine." And I maybe added some words to it. And so at that end of that 70-10 game,
I'm glad the Red Raiders could write a check that your Jayhawks.
No question. Yeah, no, I was very, very, very happy about that. And I stood up and I screamed, "Every dog has his day, Dr. Tom, and I just had mine, blank, blank, blank you." And my wife was like, What are you doing? I said, well, in 1982, Dr. Tom called timeout right before halftime so he could go for two and run it up on KU. And I just wanted him to know that I had my day here today in Lubbock, Texas. And she just like shook her head. Okay. And that's when she knew she was the lucky lady. Jeff?
We are the lucky guys.
You are.
Both of mine, oddly enough, are from the same game. The win over A&M with the quote, "Sometimes a pirate can beat a soldier."
Yep, I love that.
Period. Drop the mic at that point. That's how all of us felt at that exact moment when he said it.
Was that the 2002 Wes Welker punt return game, or was that the Robert?
No, that was
Johnson?
the Robert Johnson. I think that was the Robert Johnson game. But any win over A&M was good.
Absolutely.
And dropping that quote after beating A&M, that was when the pirate kicked off.
100% with Jeff on the comment. That was my favorite one ever, just because I had, living in East Texas, had such a strong dislike for the Aggies, living around so many of them that were nonstop beat down of anybody verbally that was a fan of a different school. They were hard to live with. And my favorite Coach Leach win was the 2002 one in College Station, and that was the Wes Welker punt return game, and you were down big in that game and came back, and getting to go to overtime. A&M gets the ball first, they score the touchdown and miss the extra point, and their fans that place just got up and was empty because they knew they had no chance to stop our offense. And sure enough, they didn't, and we won. And it was awesome. That game wasn't on television. Crazy, huh? To think about that.
Yeah, 48-47, October 5th, 2002. That
was by far my favorite in the Leach era. That's more favorite to me than the Crabtree catch.
Okay. Somebody mentioned the Phil Bennett game. I was at that game too, the SMU game, where it looked like that Phil Bennett it didn't look like he wanted to fight Mike Leach. And
you do you, but why would that be your favorite?
This person said that. Well, I thought that was entertaining. I mean, that ending was entertaining.
I mean, it's not like a huge rival for us.
No.
Plus, I felt like we looked bad.
I agree with you.
I didn't like it.
I didn't like how that looked either.
Yeah. I also felt the same way about the Nebraska game. I
could tell you I
would have preferred that we called the dogs off a little bit more there too.
Okay. Well, I had a personal vendetta there. Somebody else. Okay. I can tell you my least favorite was October 14th, 2006 at Colorado. Lost 30-6 to the Buffs.
We aren't discussing leasts. We're talking favorites. Favorites are more fun. Favorites are happy. We should be happy going into the Christmas party.
My least by far would be, probably the Fat Little Girlfriends game.
Okay.
Okay, you were a way better team than A&M at that point, and you were up 14-0 in that game, and just played horrible, and lost that game by losing to the Aggies would, or the Longhorns, or even a TCU one.
Yeah.
The year TCU beat the Red Raiders 9-3. That was tough to take.
Yeah.
Just that they shut down our offense so badly. That was before they were in the. No, that wasn't before they were. Yeah, I think it was before TCU was in the Big 12.
Okay.
Yeah.
So those are. I'm with you on the. Sometimes a pirate can beat a soldier. Thank you, G-Moss. Tom Osborne was not the coach that year. He was the athletic director, or maybe he was in the stadium. I don't even know if he was the athletic director. He was in the.
He's yelling at somebody.
He was in the stadium. I felt it made me feel good. Okay, I felt I had closure.
Oh man.
Raiders dad says your whole life is a personal vendetta, Chuck. Wow, that sounds somewhat hateful. Do you think my whole life is a vendetta?
I have no idea.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Okay. All right. 7:39 this morning here on the morning drive.
Comeback from Minnesota in the bowl game was a good one, too, off the 8th Thorn Center channel.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Now, why they quit throwing to the tight end in the second half, I still don't understand, but that's what enabled you to do it.
I'll tell you the 2002 Texas game, too, in which Tech won 42-38. That was Coach Kingsbury's last game as a player at Jones Stadium. That was a great night at Jones Stadium as well.
You're tuned in to the Morning Drive podcast from Double T 97.3, recapping the night that was in the world of sports.
That's not to say that they don't respect the run game that you have, but you're talking about one quarterback leading the conference in passing so far this year. And remember, he didn't start the first game.
All right.
Still played a lot, though.
And also bringing some humor to your day.
I just don't want to disappoint you. As much as I disappoint you, I don't want to disappoint you in some things that you expect from me.
Hear the show live weekday mornings at 6 on Double T 97.3 or on the Double T 97.3 mobile app.
Thank you for being with us with Jamie Lent and Jeff McGuire. I'm Chuck Hines. Hope you're off to a good start of your day today, and look forward to having a great day today. It's Wednesday, the day the work gets done. Come to you this morning from the First United Bank studio, as we do every morning. Okay, and the Yates Flooring Center chat line, it is open, flashing right now. Hot texts available. We're looking for them. Hit us up on the Yates Flooring Center chat line. Go to doublet973.com. for that. Benchmark hotline is open as well at 806-771-0973. It's 806-771-0973. We'll have Lady Raider basketball for you tonight on 107.7 Yes FM. Coverage at 6:30, the play-by-play at 7. And we'll have that on 100.7 The Score as well with the tip after the high school fan zone. Coaches from Lubbock High, Friendship, and Lubbock Cooper into the high school fan zone as the high school basketball season take a little bit of a slight break, right, for Christmas. And some will be participating in the Cap Rock, which will come up right after Christmas. So it'll be it's not like a total idleness for all, but just a brief stoppage, brief little respite, side of the road, cat nap, so to speak. You ever take a cat nap on the side of the road?
Not on the side of the road.
While you're driving on the road, have you ever taken a cat nap?
No.
Okay.
I don't usually pull over on the side of the road
Okay.
unless it's an emergency.
Okay.
Now, I've taken a cat nap in my car before, but like in a parking lot or something, but
Right.
not on the side of the road.
No,
that doesn't seem very safe.
No, it doesn't seem very safe. Red Raider basketball team won last night, 77-70 over Eastern Washington. They'll play Jackson State on Saturday. High Point man last night, Kevin O'Banner, he had 25. Pop Isaacs, 15. Davion Harmon had 19 last night. Somebody asked, why didn't the men's basketball team get a break for finals? They did. Finals are done. Yeah, finals are done. Today's Wednesday. It was done yesterday or Monday. But, yeah, they got the break. I mean, it doesn't take 6 weeks to take a final.
Well, I assume they have more than one.
Right. Yeah. I would assume. But, I mean, who knows? Maybe some of the professors, it's Christmas, just screw it. No finals for you.
Okay.
Sometimes
Seems
it's
like that would be an important thing to you have to make them do.
Yeah, no, sometimes it is. Red Raiders did not shoot the ball particularly well from beyond the arc. Probably had some 3-point shooting practice today. 4 of 25. Has that number concerned you over this the start of the season? Their 3-point shooting? Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Who would you like to see step up on that?
Kevin O'Banner.
Yeah, he was 1 for 5 last night.
What's his percentage on the season? I think it's well below 30%.
Yeah, I think you're right.
I think, though, from last night's game, you got to look at Pop, though. Well, 3 for 13, I think.
12
for 3 for 12, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No doubt, but he's been your best 3-point shooter.
And last night was a bad example. I am of the opinion, though, that at some point when you've missed that many, you need to change your game up at some point.
I'm glad he didn't, though, because he had 2 big threes in the second half.
Right, but if he had not shot the 10 that he missed, if he'd taken that to 5 that he missed and drove the lane,
sure,
you get contact and get fouls and get 3 points that way, too. Because he can do that as well.
Yeah, there's some of that, but if that's not what your skill set is, and I mean, is he the guy that opens things up on the inside by being an outside threat for your team? Now, last night I didn't feel like he was much of a threat because he was missing, but shooters got to shoot, man, and they got to shoot their way out of it at times. And I think there's truth in what you're saying, makes some sense, but at the same time, I mean, there's John Starks in the NBA Finals, who was 1 of 16 or 17, whatever it was, and you're like, hey, maybe consider passing. But I don't know. I didn't get that vibe from Pop last night. I feel like the offense needs him to shoot threes, and you just assume sooner or later he's going to shoot his way out of it, and ultimately he did in the second half. Mm-hmm. And I know it doesn't look pretty, and those numbers, 3 of 12, are not pretty, but I don't know. The analytics will tell you, you got to shoot threes.
Yeah. How about this? I think this is interesting. I don't know if you'll find it interesting. Last night, Eastern Washington whistled for 15 fouls. Red Raiders whistled for 14 fouls. Yet when it comes to the free throw line, Eastern Washington 9 of 12. Meanwhile, Red Raiders 19 of 22.
And in the act of shooting,
right,
not in shooting fouls.
Right. No, all of that is just again, thought it was interesting. But the fact that you hit your free throws and O'Banner hit his 8, basically the difference in the ball game. The 19 of 22 versus their 9 of 12 last night. Here's some sarcasm. I'm sure Pop will take the advice of a radio show person. Thanks for the insight, Jeff. You're welcome. I mean, that's what we're here to provide advice, provide help to any who will take it. I mean, if you'd like me to stop by your place of business today, I'm sure I could offer some kind of advice for you.
Yeah.
Right?
I don't know. I just I think that's kind of what he's on the court for.
Mm-hmm.
Right? He's shooting threes at this point. That's not to say that we wouldn't like to see him, be versatile and be able to drive and get buckets that way and get to the free throw line and all that. He does some of that. It just was a bad night for him. And right now I have more confidence in him shooting a 3 than anybody else. So I'm going to ride with him.
Okay.
I'm going to ride with him.
I think that's smart because he's so far shown that he wants the ball and he can deliver in some key moments. We've already seen that.
And some of it, to Jeff's point, has been with him driving.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's not been him settling for a 3 or whatever. It's him driving.
Yeah.
Do you guys feel like he's been a guy that's forcing threes at all? I mean, 12 in one game is a lot. It's a lot of threes. But do you feel like he's forcing it? Because I feel like he's done it within the offense.
Yeah, I do too.
Yeah. If I'm going to nitpick a little bit here, I would nitpick about the fact that your quote-unquote point guard and Davion Harmon is keeping the ball in his hands way too much, in my opinion. I mean, the ball is, he's dribble. I mean, I'd like to see the ball move a little bit more. That being said, I love what Davion's doing, being aggressive and getting to the rim, too. So there's this guy, you got to find a little bit of a happy medium there.
And the other thing, too, is his teammates are allowed to help him when he's dribble.
Yeah, make yourself available, right?
Yeah, and that
Get open.
You've been listening to the Morning Drive podcast from Double T 97.3. For more from Lubbock Sports Station, go to doublet973.com.